Beloved, I tell you today, your words are your wand. They are the invisible forces shaping your visible world. If you desire unlimited money, you must speak to it with authority, not as a beggar, but as a child of the King. Money is not your master, it is your servant. It will rush to obey when you call it by the law of divine supply. The universe does not respond to worry, fear, or pleading. It responds to faith, spoken aloud with certainty. When you speak, speak as one who already holds the golden hand. Let these 10 sentences become your decree, your command, your spiritual order to the storehouse of the infinite. I am one with the infinite riches of divine supply. Money comes to me in perfect ways under grace. Say it until your mind and heart are soaked in its truth. You are not outside of abundance. You are part of it. I have perfect confidence in God's lavish bounty. Unlimited wealth is mine now. Confidence is faith without a tremble. Feel the certainty of the thing before your eyes. Behold it. Every bill is paid, every debt dissolved, and I walk in the freedom of financial peace. See each obligation melting away, as snow melts under the warm sun of God's provision. Unexpected money comes to me daily, from channels seen and unseen. Let go of how it will come. The Creator has 1,000 ways of which you know nothing. I am a fearless giver and a fearless receiver. Money flows to me and through me like a never-ending river. To dam the river is to lose its blessing. Give freely, and the current returns greater than before. The wealth of the universe is pouring into my life now in ever-increasing measure. Stand under the waterfall of supply. Do not step aside with doubt. I am a perfect channel for divine prosperity. All that is mine by right appears instantly and effortlessly. There is no delay in spirit. The moment you claim it, it begins. Large sums of money come to me quickly and easily, for the good of all concerned. When it is for the good of all, there is no obstruction in its path. I give thanks for my immediate, complete, and joyous financial freedom. Gratitude is the magnet of miracles. Give thanks before the miracle appears, and you will hasten its arrival. Infinite intelligence governs my finances, and I am forever supplied. Rest in this, the same intelligence that spins the planets attends to your every need. Beloved, these are not mere words, they are spiritual commands. Speak them aloud, daily with the authority of one who knows that the cattle on 1,000 hills belong to their Father. Refuse to speak of lack or limitation. Refuse to rehearse poverty. When fear whispers, answer with one of these sentences until fear flees. The law is simple: what you claim in the invisible, you shall receive in the visible. Money is your obedient servant, awaiting your call. Stand firm, speak your decree, and watch as the storehouses of heaven swing open to pour you a blessing too great to contain. Beloved, I tell you today, your words are your wand. They are the invisible forces shaping your visible world. If you desire unlimited money, you must speak to it with authority, not as a beggar, but as a child of the King. Money is not your master, it is your servant. It will rush to obey when you call it by the law of divine supply. The universe does not respond to worry, fear, or pleading. It responds to faith, spoken aloud with certainty. When you speak, speak as one who already holds the golden hand. Let these 10 sentences become your decree, your command, your spiritual order to the storehouse of the infinite. I am one with the infinite riches of divine supply. Money comes to me in perfect ways under grace. Say it until your mind and heart are soaked in its truth. You are not outside of abundance. You are part of it. I have perfect confidence in God's lavish bounty. Unlimited wealth is mine now. Confidence is faith without a tremble. Feel the certainty of the thing before your eyes. Behold it. Every bill is paid, every debt dissolved, and I walk in the freedom of financial peace. See each obligation melting away, as snow melts under the warm sun of God's provision. Unexpected money comes to me daily, from channels seen and unseen. Let go of how it will come. The Creator has 1,000 ways of which you know nothing. I am a fearless giver and a fearless receiver. Money flows to me and through me like a never-ending river. To dam the river is to lose its blessing. Give freely, and the current returns greater than before. The wealth of the universe is pouring into my life now in ever-increasing measure. Stand under the waterfall of supply. Do not step aside with doubt. I am a perfect channel for divine prosperity. All that is mine by right appears instantly and effortlessly. There is no delay in spirit. The moment you claim it, it begins. Large sums of money come to me quickly and easily, for the good of all concerned. When it is for the good of all, there is no obstruction in its path. I give thanks for my immediate, complete, and joyous financial freedom. Gratitude is the magnet of miracles. Give thanks before the miracle appears, and you will hasten its arrival. Infinite intelligence governs my finances, and I am forever supplied. Rest in this, the same intelligence that spins the planets attends to your every need. Beloved, these are not mere words, they are spiritual commands. Speak them aloud, daily with the authority of one who knows that the cattle on 1,000 hills belong to their Father. Refuse to speak of lack or limitation. Refuse to rehearse poverty. When fear whispers, answer with one of these sentences until fear flees. The law is simple: what you claim in the invisible, you shall receive in the visible. Money is your obedient servant, awaiting your call. Stand firm, speak your decree, and watch as the storehouses of heaven swing open to pour you a blessing too great to contain. Abundance is not something you must earn through ceaseless struggle, nor is it a rare gift bestowed only upon the fortunate few. It is your divine birthright, as natural to you as the air you breathe, as sure as the sun that rises each morning. Before you drew your first breath, the great storehouse of heaven was already filled with every good and perfect thing your soul could ever desire. The Creator did not send you here empty-handed, to grope through life in fear of want. No, you were born into a universe of limitless provision, and all that is yours by right awaits your claim. The tragedy is that so many have been taught otherwise. They have been told that wealth is for the few, that prosperity must be clawed from the grip of a stingy world, that they must plead with God for scraps when the banquet table of the infinite is groaning under the weight of their inheritance. This is not truth. Poverty is not piety. Lack is not humility. These are illusions born of ignorance of the law. To believe in lack is to deny the nature of God, for God is supply itself, unending, overflowing, inexhaustible. The child of a king does not beg for bread. They walk boldly into the royal kitchen, knowing that all within belongs to them by right of birth. So it is with you. You are the child of the King of Kings, heir to the riches of the kingdom. Yet many stand outside the gates, looking in with longing eyes, when all they need do is step inside and claim what is theirs. The key to the gate is faith, faith spoken, faith acted upon, faith that refuses to believe in limitation. Do not confuse this with greed or selfishness. True abundance is never at the expense of another. The law of supply is infinite. It cannot be diminished by your having more. The ocean does not grow shallower because you draw a bucket from its depths. Your receiving does not rob another. Rather, it proves the law and inspires others to claim their share. The only thing that limits you is the size of your own bucket, which is to say, the measure of your faith. I tell you, abundance flows to you the moment you accept it as your rightful state. You do not strain for the air you breathe. You simply open your lungs and it rushes in. So it is with money, with opportunities, with every form of good. The moment you open your mind and heart in expectancy, the supply rushes toward you. But if you stand with folded arms, murmuring that nothing good ever comes your way, you slam the door in the face of your own inheritance. The difference between those who live in abundance and those who dwell in want is not fate, nor luck, nor the approval of others. It is consciousness. The abundant soul lives in the awareness that the universe is friendly, that all things are working together for their good, that every need is met before it is even spoken. They live as if they are already supplied, and by the law of their faith, they are. When you begin to see abundance as your birthright, you will find that fear loosens its grip. You will no longer hoard, no longer count every coin with dread, no longer shrink from opportunity because you think the price is too high. You will spend and give with joy, knowing that the river of supply is ever flowing back to you. You will rise each morning, not wondering if there will be enough, but rejoicing in the certainty that there is always more than enough. I have seen lives transformed when this truth is grasped. A man once came to me, worn and weary from years of toil, his back bent under the belief that he must labor without rest for every penny. I told him, "You are an heir to the kingdom. Lift your head and claim your portion." He began to speak words of supply, to thank God daily for the abundance that was his. In less than a year, opportunities came that multiplied his income without the crushing labor. He worked with joy, not compulsion, and the money came as a servant, not a master. Abundance is a law, and like every law, it operates whether you believe in it or not. But when you align yourself with it, when you consciously step into your inheritance, you move from a life of struggle to a life of effortless supply. The invisible becomes visible, the stored treasure of heaven flows into your hands, and your days are marked by peace instead of worry. And here is the next great secret: to live in the fullness of your birthright, you must speak and act as if the good you desire is already yours. This is the bridge to the third truth. Faith speaks as though it is already done. You cannot claim your inheritance with words of doubt. You cannot walk in royal robes while speaking the language of the beggar. You must put on the consciousness of possession before the outer evidence appears, for the inner picture is the mold into which the outer world is poured. Faith does not speak as one who is waiting. Faith does not speak in the language of hope mingled with doubt. Faith speaks as though the thing desired is already in hand, already accomplished, already part of the fabric of one's life. For the moment you declare it done, in the unseen it is done, and the unseen is the realm from which all visible things are born. The one who understands the law never says, "I will have," for that is always the language of tomorrow, and tomorrow is the dream that never arrives. They say, "I have," for that is the language of now, the only time God acts, the only time power flows. If you say, "I am going to be prosperous," you are placing your good on a moving train that never stops at your station. But when you say, "I am prosperous now," you plant your feet on the solid ground of present possession. It is not presumption to speak in this way, it is alignment with truth. The moment you ask, you are told it is given. The moment you knock, the door is opened. Heaven does not make promises it cannot keep, nor does it delay without reason. The delay is always in the mind of the receiver, never in the storehouse of supply. When you speak as though you already have the thing, you signal to the infinite that you are ready to receive it in form. I have often told my students, paint the picture in your mind with such detail and color that you can walk into it at will, then speak from within that picture. If you desire wealth, see yourself already in possession of it, not in the far-off future, but in the sacred now. Speak as the wealthy man or woman would speak. Move as they would move. Think as they would think. The vibration of your thought and word draws to you the matching vibration in the outer world. It is the law. One woman came to me with a desire for a new home. She had long been saying, "Someday I'll have a house of my own," and someday kept drifting further away. I told her, begin speaking as if the house is yours now. Give thanks for it. Walk through it in your imagination. Place your furniture within its rooms. She began to say each day, "I have a beautiful home, divinely planned and perfectly located." Within a few months, circumstances aligned, and she moved into a house that matched her vision in every detail. She did not force the process. She spoke the word, held the picture, and the law did the rest. To speak in faith is to refuse to speak the language of lack or delay. It is to stand unmoved by appearances, knowing that appearances are but the shadows cast by yesterday's thoughts. You do not describe the shadow, you call forth the light. You do not affirm the problem, you affirm the solution. If the purse is empty, you do not declare, "I am broke," for that is to write the next chapter in the same story. You declare, "I have unlimited supply. Money comes to me easily and in perfect ways." This is not pretending. Pretending is hollow. Faith is substance. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. The words of faith are like a seal placed upon a letter. They signify that the matter is settled, the decree is issued, and nothing can reverse it. The spiritual world moves instantly to honor that seal, arranging people, events, and resources to match your spoken word. And here is the beauty of this law. Once you begin to speak as if it is already done, you feel the relief and joy of having it now. You cease to strain, to push, to wonder when and how. That vibration of joy itself is the magnet that draws your good more swiftly. Worry repels supply, joy attracts it. That is why I say, laugh your way into abundance. Speak your decree, and then go about your day in the delight of knowing it is done. When you live and speak in this way, you step into the flow of divine timing. You are no longer anxiously counting the days, you are receiving the good as naturally as breathing. And as you do, you come to realize an even greater truth, that this supply you are calling forth is not limited by human channels or earthly conditions. You begin to see that your wealth is drawn from a source that has no limits, no boundaries, no end. This leads us to the next revelation. The supply of the infinite cannot be exhausted. It is not a pie to be divided. It is an ocean without shores. The same law that responds to your decree responds to all, and there is more than enough for everyone to be richly supplied. When you understand this, you will never again fear that your good will diminish another's, nor that another's good will diminish yours. You will live in the certainty that you draw from the same limitless reservoir from which all abundance flows. The supply of the infinite has no limits. It is boundless, inexhaustible, ever-flowing. The human mind, trained by the world's false teaching, imagines a small storehouse with a fixed amount of wealth to be divided among many, and so people grasp, cling, compete, and fear there will not be enough. But the mind awakened to truth knows that the storehouse of God is not a warehouse with doors that close, it is a fountain that never ceases to pour. You cannot empty it, you cannot diminish it, you cannot exhaust it. It is the nature of divine supply to flow, just as it is the nature of the sun to shine and the river to run to the sea. To believe that supply is limited is to believe the impossible. The very air you breathe is a testimony to God's abundance. Have you ever feared there would not be enough air for all? Have you ever drawn a breath and worried that another would be deprived? No, you know that the air belongs to all, is sufficient for all, and flows without your effort. So it is with wealth, opportunity, and every form of good. When you see money as part of the infinite flow of divine energy, you stop clinging to it in fear. You realize you cannot lose what comes from an endless source. The ocean is not diminished because a wave falls upon the shore. The wave is only part of the continual motion. And so with your supply, a payment made, a gift given, is but a wave returning to the ocean of the infinite, from which new waves will surely come. Those who fear scarcity live in a prison of their own making. They hoard what they have, and in their fear, they cut themselves off from the very law that would bring more. But the fearless soul gives and receives without measure, knowing that the source can never run dry. The law of circulation demands movement. To stop the flow is to stop the blessing. I once knew a man who lived with a tight, anxious grip upon every penny. He counted and measured each coin, fearing that any expenditure would leave him poorer, and poorer he became, for his consciousness was one of limitation. I taught him the truth of divine supply, that it is limitless and cannot be diminished. Reluctantly at first, he began to give where he felt led, to pay his bills with gratitude instead of resentment, to release his fear of loss. In a short time, unexpected channels opened to him. Work appeared, gifts were given, and his income multiplied. Why? Because he had stepped into the flow. You cannot take more than your share from the infinite, for your share is determined not by the source, but by your own capacity to receive. The law is impersonal, it does not choose favorites. It simply fills the mold you hold out to it. If your mold is small, you will receive a small portion. If it is large, you will receive in proportion. And the mold is your consciousness, the thoughts you think, the words you speak, the faith you hold. The moment you let go of the false belief in limitation, you feel a great lightness, as though a weight has been lifted from your shoulders. You stop looking at others as competitors for a small prize, and you begin to see them as fellow heirs to an infinite kingdom. Their gain does not diminish you, and your gain does not diminish them. You rejoice in their prosperity as in your own, for it is all proof of the same unending law at work. When you truly grasp the truth of unlimited supply, you begin to act differently. You give with joy, without calculation or fear. You invest in your dreams without the shadow of doubt. You pay for the things you desire without shrinking back, because you know the source is infinite. And as you do, you will find that the supply comes faster, more easily, more abundantly than ever before. Many people say they believe in God's abundance, yet they act as though there is only a little and they must guard it carefully. Their words betray them. They speak of getting by, or just enough. But God is not the God of just enough. God is the God of overflowing, pressed down, and running over. To live in the consciousness of unlimited supply is to know that there is always more coming, always more available, always more than you could ever use. And here is a beautiful secret. When you understand that divine supply is without limits, you also understand that you are never in competition for your good. You do not have to push, fight, or force your way. What is yours by divine right will reach you, no matter who else may seem to want it, no matter how the world appears. Your supply has its own channel, and it cannot be blocked by another. This knowing brings peace. It removes the strain from your affairs. It allows you to rest in the certainty that the law is already at work, delivering to you all that belongs to you. And as you rest in this certainty, you begin to see money for what it truly is, not a master to be feared, not a tyrant to be obeyed, but a servant to carry out your good. It is but one form of the energy of supply, ready to go where you send it, ready to return with more. When you stop bowing to it in fear and begin commanding it in faith, you place it in its rightful place, under your authority. This brings us to the next great truth. Money is a servant, not a master. And when you treat it as such, it will hurry to obey your call, flowing easily and without resistance. For you are no longer trying to please it, you are directing it. Money is your servant, not your master. Yet most of the world has reversed the order. They bow to it, chase it, fear it, and obey its every demand, as though it were the ruler of their lives. But in truth, money has no power of its own. It is a tool, a symbol, a messenger of supply. It will take the shape of your consciousness and respond to your commands, whether they be wise or foolish. When you understand this, you no longer live in bondage to money's coming and going. You do not quake when it seems absent, nor do you clutch it tightly when it appears. You treat it as you would a loyal servant, with respect, with purpose, with clarity of instruction. The servant does not tell the master what to do. The master directs the servant, according to the vision and the plan. The trouble for most people is that they have made money their master, believing that its presence determines their joy and its absence their despair. They think, if only I had more money, I could live the life I desire, not realizing that it is not money that brings the life, but the consciousness of abundance that brings both the life and the money. When you place money in the seat of authority, you give away your own spiritual dominion. I tell you, take back your authority. Money is but one of the countless channels through which divine supply flows to you. It is not the source, it is merely one of the forms the source takes. The source is God, the infinite, unfailing, ever-flowing supply that cannot be blocked, delayed, or exhausted. When you see money in this way, you stop giving it power over your decisions. You no longer say, "I cannot do this because I do not have the money." Instead, you say, "I am divinely supplied for every righteous desire, and the means are on their way." I once counseled a man who dreamed of opening a business. For years he delayed, telling me, "When I have the money, I will begin." I said to him, "Begin in faith, and the money will appear." Money is waiting for your instruction. It cannot serve you while you stand idle, looking to it as your permission slip. He began to take steps, small at first, but each made in the spirit of certainty. Within months, the funding came from unexpected quarters, and his business opened debt-free. Why? Because he had stopped treating money as his master, and had commanded it as his servant. When money is your master, fear rules you. You become hesitant, overly cautious, afraid to give, afraid to spend, afraid to move. You live as though money is the gatekeeper to your destiny, holding the keys to your freedom. But when you see it as your servant, you are free. You give freely, knowing more is coming. You invest in your vision with confidence. You decide the direction, and money follows the path you set. Money responds to clarity. The more definite your instruction, the more faithfully it will obey. If you send it out to bless others, it will return multiplied. If you send it out grudgingly, it will carry that same vibration and return in like manner. Like every servant, it reflects the tone of its master. That is why the consciousness behind your spending, giving, and receiving is so vital. You can give in fear and diminish your supply, or you can give in joy and increase it. The outer action may look the same, but the inner command makes all the difference. And here is a truth many overlook: money loves circulation. When you hoard it from fear, you block its flow, just as damming a river stops the fresh water from reaching you. But when you keep it moving with purpose, it grows. It brings more opportunities, more resources, more channels of blessing. You will often find that the act of giving, done with faith, sets in motion the very inflow you were desiring. I recall a woman who came to me in great distress, fearing she would not be able to pay her rent. I told her, "Release something in faith, even if it is small. Show money that it is your servant, not your jailer." She gave a modest gift to someone in need, not from surplus, but from the little she had. Within days, an overdue payment she had long since given up on arrived in the mail, enough to cover her rent with extra to spare. The moment she acted in faith, she set her servant in motion, and it returned with its friends. When you take your rightful place as master, you will find money eager to work for you. It will appear through channels you never imagined. It will arrive in the right amounts at the right time, and it will flow out again to create more good in your life and in the lives of others. You will spend without fear, knowing that the source replenishes endlessly. You will give without hesitation, knowing that every act of generosity is an order to the universe to send more. And as you live this way, you begin to understand that money is only one servant among many in the household of divine supply. There are ideas, opportunities, relationships, and blessings of every kind waiting to serve you. Money plays its part, but it is never the whole. The source has infinite forms, and money is just one channel through which the richness of life is expressed. And here, beloved, is the next revelation: when you give and receive fearlessly, when you treat money as a servant that moves at your word, you enter the great river of circulation. The law of giving and receiving begins to work at full power, and you discover that the more you release, the more flows back to you. This is the secret of the fearless giver and the fearless receiver, the law of supply magnified by the law of circulation. When you truly understand that money is a servant and not a master, you begin to walk in the fearless dominion that was always yours. Money, like every other form of manifestation, is simply energy given a particular name. It is not something to bow to, worship, or fear. It is a messenger, an obedient carrier of your faith, responding to the orders you send forth with your word and your belief. But as long as a person trembles before money, whether in longing for it or in dread of losing it, it remains in control. And anything you place in control over you becomes your master. The law is simple. You cannot serve two masters. If you serve spirit, money serves you. If you serve money, spirit cannot bring you the divine ease and abundance that belongs to you. Many people imagine that by grasping tightly to every coin, they are securing their supply, but in truth, they are binding themselves to fear. They have placed the symbol above the source, and therefore, they cut themselves off from the limitless flow. Money in itself has no will, no intelligence, no power apart from what you give it. It takes on the tone of your thought, the attitude of your heart. When you see it as a friend, a helper, a willing servant sent to assist you in fulfilling your divine plan, you will not fear it coming or going. You will speak to it with the authority of one who knows, you are here to obey me, not rule me. I once knew a woman who lived in constant dread of bills. She feared the postman, for he might bring her another demand for payment. One day I told her, you must reverse this condition in thought before you can reverse it. In fact, begin to bless every bill that comes. See it not as a curse, but as evidence that you have been trusted with supply enough to meet it. She obeyed. She began to greet each bill by saying, I am rich enough to pay you, and you are paid in full, right now, by divine supply. Soon she no longer feared the postman. She would open her mail with confidence, knowing that money was her servant and must obey the call of her fearless faith. And indeed, supply began to arrive from expected and unexpected channels until her debts were cleared. Fear commands lack. Faith commands abundance. When you release the grip of fear, you release money into freedom, freedom to flow toward you. Have you noticed that when you chase something desperately, it seems to run from you? The same is true with wealth. If you are anxious for it, you repel it. But if you stand still, certain in your God-given right, it will seek you out as a servant seeks out its rightful master. The person who knows money is a servant will never make decisions based on fear of losing it. They will not withhold a blessing because they are afraid there won't be enough left for themselves. They will not refuse an inspired opportunity because they are calculating in human limitation. They move in faith, knowing that supply is infinite and money is only one of its many channels. I have often said, the game of life is a game of boomerangs. Whatever you send out, returns to you. When you send out love, generosity, and fearless giving, money will reflect that spirit and return multiplied. But when you send out fear, suspicion, or grasping, money will mirror that spirit too, appearing scarce, elusive, and unreliable. Therefore, if you would command unlimited money, begin by commanding your own thoughts and feelings about it. Speak to money as you would speak to a loyal worker, with respect, but never with servitude. Give it clear instructions. Tell it where to go and what to do. Say, money, you are under the law of divine circulation. You are always coming to me in abundance, and you go out in perfect order, blessing everyone you touch, returning to me multiplied. When you take this position, you break the chain of bondage. You no longer watch money with anxious eyes, but with the calm assurance of one who knows the well can never run dry. You do not question whether there will be enough, for you understand that enough is not the measure, it is the infinite flow that is your measure. I tell you, there is no surer way to cut off your supply than to let money be your master, and there is no quicker way to draw it in than to take up the rightful place of authority given you as a child of God. In the kingdom, you are heir to all good, and money is but one servant among many that rush to do your bidding. Stand in that truth, and watch as every coin, every note, every opportunity lines itself up to obey your word. And when you are fearless in this knowledge, the next great law reveals itself, that giving opens the floodgates. For a master of money is never afraid to send it forth, knowing that what is sent in love returns in abundance. Gratitude is the golden oil that keeps the wheels of manifestation turning without friction. It is the invisible magnet that draws your supply from the unseen into the seen. Many souls block their own good by withholding thanks until they behold it with their physical eyes. But the great law is this: you give thanks before you see it, and by your praise you make the invisible visible. When you say, "Thank you, Father, that my abundance is here now," you open the door wide for it to enter. Gratitude does not wait for proof. Gratitude is the proof of faith. The grateful heart walks in the constant knowing that the gift is already given, and this knowing is irresistible to the law of supply. There are those who will say, "How can I be thankful for money when my purse is empty?" And I tell them, your purse is only empty in the shadow world of appearances. In the spiritual substance, it is full to overflowing, waiting for your word to call it forth. The thankful word is a key that unlocks the treasure chest. Every time you give thanks, you strike the chord that summons the music of abundance into your affairs. The more you sing this song of praise, the louder the orchestra of supply will play for you. Gratitude lifts your vibration out of want and into wealth, so that all that belongs to wealth can find you. I recall a woman who came to me in great distress. She said, "I have no money, no work, and no prospects. I cannot see anything to be grateful for." I answered, "Then you must see beyond the outer picture. Look for one thing, however small, to praise, and do it sincerely. That spark will grow into a blaze." She began to give thanks for her health, for a roof over her head, for the air she breathed. Within a fortnight, unexpected checks began to arrive, and offers of work came from strangers. Her gratitude had cleared the channel that her fear had clogged. She did not wait for evidence. She gave thanks into the evidence, and the evidence appeared. Gratitude is not a mere courtesy of speech, it is a spiritual force. When you use it rightly, you become a conductor for the currents of divine substance. Imagine yourself standing in a field of infinite treasure. Gratitude is the act of turning your face toward it, lifting your hands, and saying, "It is mine now, and I thank you." In that instant, the treasures begin to move toward you. The ungrateful heart, on the other hand, stands with its back to the treasure, seeing only the barren ground, and so receives nothing. It is easy to be grateful when the money is in your hand, but the master of supply is the one who gives thanks when it is still in the unseen. This is why the Christ said, "When ye pray, believe that ye have received, and ye shall have them." Gratitude is that believing. It is the living proof that you know your request is already granted. When you say, "Thank you for my unlimited wealth now," and you feel the joy of it as though it were in your possession, you become one with that wealth in consciousness, and it must, by law, manifest in your affairs. Some say, "I will be thankful when my debts are paid," but that is like saying, "I will turn on the lamp when the room is bright." The lamp of gratitude makes the room bright. Begin to bless your debts as paid. Bless the creditors as messengers of your own faithfulness, and thank God for the divine supply that wipes them out completely. You will find that money comes in unexpected ways to balance your accounts. For the one who praises the outcome before it arrives is already standing in the finished picture. There is a power in praising in advance. This is why I often give my students affirmations such as, "I am so grateful that my wealth is pouring in from all directions now," or "I praise and give thanks for the overflowing prosperity that is mine by divine right." These words should not be mouthed mechanically, but spoken with the inner thrill of possession. Feel the security, the freedom, the joy that such abundance brings, and give thanks for it now. The law will take care of the rest. Let your gratitude be constant, not occasional. Thank God for the pennies, as well as the pounds, for the small gifts as well as the great. Every seed of wealth you praise will grow into a harvest. The miserly soul counts the coins and sighs over what is missing. The grateful soul counts the coins and rejoices, knowing they are multiplying even as they are counted. Gratitude multiplies everything it touches. As you train yourself to live in continual thanksgiving, you will find that your mind no longer dwells on lack. You will think in terms of plenty, speak in terms of plenty, and act as one who is constantly supplied. This mental atmosphere is irresistible to money, to opportunities, to every good thing. They will come to you as birds to a garden blooming in the sun. The dark clouds of worry will scatter, and the light of divine supply will shine without obstruction. And so I say to you, begin now. Do not wait for the perfect conditions. Let your first words each morning be words of thanks for the riches already streaming into your life. Let your last thought at night be one of praise for the blessings of the day and for those yet to come. In doing this, you become the unbroken channel of God's abundance, and money will flow to you in ways you cannot now imagine. And as you give thanks, you will find the law of giving and receiving, moving you toward the next great truth, that what you send out in joy and generosity returns to you multiplied. When you speak these words of truth and set your feet upon the path of faith, you will find that your actions naturally align with the great river of supply. The Spirit never guides you to idleness, it guides you to divine right action. Many people wait for money before they move, but they misunderstand the law. The law demands that you move first, as if the money were already yours, and then the supply appears. Faith without action is like a seed left in a packet. It holds potential but bears no harvest until it is placed in the soil. When you act in accordance with your faith, you declare to the universe, I am already provided for. I am already supplied. If you believe the banquet is ready, you will take your seat at the table. If you believe the journey is financed, you will step onto the train. How many blessings are delayed because the individual waits for the evidence instead of creating the evidence through right action? Your steps are a living prayer, a silent affirmation that your word has already been accomplished. I recall a woman who longed to open a shop. She had no money, no investors, and no clear plan, but she had an unshakable vision. She prayed, she spoke her word daily, and then she acted. She began gathering goods for her store, telling everyone about her soon-to-open business as if the doors already stood wide. She even swept and painted the small, empty space she had found, though she had not yet paid the rent. The onlookers laughed at her foolishness, but the law was already at work. Within weeks, an old friend visited, saw her progress, and offered the very funds she needed, with no interest and no conditions. She acted as though the store was hers, and so the store became hers. Right action is not frantic action. It is not the busy work of fear or the desperate scrambling of lack. Right action is calm, sure, and guided. The Spirit within you knows the exact next step, and when you are attuned to it, you will feel a quiet, persistent nudge. It may be a call to write a letter, to make an appointment, to give something away, or to prepare something for your future use. It may seem insignificant at first, but each small step is a stone in the bridge to your supply. Do not despise small beginnings. The oak does not spring full-grown from the ground. It begins as a seedling, sending its roots deep before its branches reach high. Many wish to leap to the top without first placing the ladder. But right action is that placing of the ladder. Every movement you make in faith sends out the signal that you are ready, and the universe rushes to meet your readiness. I often say, you cannot receive new garments until you have given away the old. Likewise, you cannot step into your new position, your new wealth, or your new life, while clinging to the old fears, the old habits, and the old ways of doing things. Right action often requires you to release what no longer serves you. Give away the clothes you no longer wear. Release the work that no longer fulfills. Clear the clutter from your home. You make room for the new by moving in accordance with the new. Right action aligns you with divine timing. There are those who miss their blessings because they hesitate, waiting for the perfect moment. But the perfect moment is created by action. When Peter saw Jesus walking on the water, he did not wait for the sea to become calm. He stepped out while the waves still rose high. So it is with your prosperity. You step into it while appearances still shout, lack, and the waves will hold you up. And understand this: right action is never forced. If you are straining, pushing, or battling against closed doors, that is not the way of spirit. The doors of spirit swing open at the touch of inspired action. You will feel the difference: one is toil, the other is ease. The oil of joy anoints every step when you are moving in divine right action. As you live in this consciousness, you will find money, opportunities, and resources arriving without strain. They will seem to flow naturally toward you because you are now moving in rhythm with them. You are no longer standing on the shore, hoping for the tide to change. You are already in the boat, and the current is carrying you. The key is to act as if, spend as if you already have the supply, wisely, not foolishly. Speak as if the deal is already signed. Prepare your home, as if your guests were already at the door. That as if is the act of faith that calls the invisible into the visible. And so, let your words be firm, your faith be unshakable, and your actions be in harmony with both. Then you will find that the money, the help, and the blessings are not far-off dreams, but present realities. You will stand as one who commands supply, not by struggle, but by the sure authority of spiritual law. For when you move with spirit, spirit moves with you, and nothing can stand in the way of a soul aligned with divine right action. Then let us close this truth with the authority it deserves. You have spoken the word. You have claimed your divine inheritance. The universe has heard your command, and has already set the currents of supply in motion. From this day forth, you walk in the consciousness of the one who is lavishly provided for, without fear, without doubt, without hesitation. You know that every need is already met, every debt already paid, and every desire already fulfilled in the invisible, now pressing into the visible. Go forth not as a seeker, but as a possessor. Go forth not as one who hopes, but as one who knows. The same spirit that hung the stars in the heavens now governs your affairs in perfect order and divine abundance. The river of wealth flows to you, through you, and from you in unending circulation. You are the steward of God's infinite treasure, and you handle it with wisdom, joy, and generosity. As you give thanks in advance, you hasten the visible proof of these words. Let your speech remain fearless, your faith unshakable, and your heart open to miracles. And remember, the spoken word never returns void. The decree you make today is a seed planted in the richest soil of the universe. Watch it grow, watch it flourish, watch it multiply beyond measure. It is done, it is sealed. It is so.